Right, I am back at work with the car, and before I show you around, I'm probably going to need to make a cup of tea for two reasons. One, I'm thirsty, and the other is I might need some inspiration. Look at this, eh? Look at this. Oh dear. More oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear. Oh no. How am I going to explain this one? Well, if there's somebody out there that's heard of Project Nigel and then just knows it's a multicoloured Rover, they may just assume that's what I'm carting around now. And also, some may think that this has got something in common with Nigel, but it's not quite what you think. For a start, Nigel is a finished project. This is what it's supposed to look like. It's an eccentric, debonair character, full of life and interesting ideas and thoughts. It's bohemian. It is. If this car was a person, it'd have a collection of interesting hats. Its different coloured panels reflect this rather interesting and colourful character. Whereas its cousin over here, it's a very different story altogether. Yeah, that just happened to turn out that way. This car is more the result of its mother smoking too much when she was pregnant. Anyway, this car is known as Rhonda. I normally make my own names up for cars, but it's already got one. Why does it need another one? There are many a good thing to be said about this car, and many not such a good thing to be said about this car. So in a moment I'm going to get it off at the back of the truck. But the front's a little bit low down, so I'm going to have to find a way of helping with that, and then I'll have a good look around it. Now the front of this is a little bit low, so it would be much easier if I took the truck down there to get it off the truck. Because this is a bit low, it means I've had to jack the car up just to get the ramps in. So I've got to go through that process again now, jacking up each corner to get the ramps out. Having the truck facing down like this means that the car should come off the ramps without scraping the bottom. But it also means it's not going to roll off of there. Just put a better battery in it. So the next question is, will it start and drive off the ramp by itself? Right, so that's the tyres pumped up, the front bumper pulled off. Let's see whether it'll start again. No, but it does give us a chance to have a look at the engine bay. That looks quite nice actually, very tidy, very straight, very clean. So whilst this car's getting a bit of electricity into its battery, let's have a close look around it. It does have aftermarket alloys, and that one's been painted green. As you can see, that's a space saver. And gold and silver. I'm not sure what that's about. A green handle. And then another alloy in the back there. Is that one? Ah, it's gold. Yeah, see, it is a Rover 75 connoisseur actually. It has 4 electric windows and wood stuff on the dash, which the Mark II 45s don't normally have. all the spare bits to go with it can be found in the car, which does make sense, of course, including these arches, and there's another boot spoiler there. Let's have a closer look at this lot, I think. Yeah, that's what the problem is. That's why it's not on. That's broken. Well, that's good. And the boot are the original wings. There's a receipt from Bentley there. Rendezvous. So rendezvous. Let's have a look what we've got then. A straight alloy, which of course was original for the MG-ZR. That boot spoiler. This has come off a pre-facelift 45. Spare wings, original wings, some touch-up paint, some headlamps. A panel, another boot spoiler, and then all of the trim pieces to make this the 180 version, or to make it look like the 180 version anyway. And then a massive MG flag and a bag full of handles. Nice, eh? There's one thing you can definitely say about this car, is it does not look out of place in this yard. I'm going to somewhere called Birmingham, where there is a Rover 45 that I shall be collecting, and well, I've just had to put some diesel in transit face. £1.89 a litre. £60 should be enough. £60 and a penny. I had to crack into another tenner for a penny. That really would be stupid, wouldn't it? I'm going to drive as carefully as I can to conserve the fuel as best as possible. And I always do that in transit phase for two reasons. One is obvious, diesel is expensive, and the other is transit is noisy. Birmingham's a bit of a bit general maybe, but I'm not sure the exact district or town. But for me, just like people in the south think everywhere's Manchester, Birmingham, and a radius of about 100 miles is basically Birmingham, and they're all Brummies. No, hang on a minute, a radius of 100 miles would mean that Rochdale is basically Birmingham, so let's say a radius of 40 miles, yeah, that'll do. Beside me I have my box of food goodies, where I keep my flask of tea. My flask is only 770 centilitres, which of course isn't really enough. But there's no limit on how many sandwiches I can make myself, and that's why I've made egg mayonnaise on 8 rounds of bread. I think that should be just about enough. I'm feeling a bit like eating them right now. Egg mayonnaise with mustard and pepper. Oh, and balsamic vinegar as well. And mayonnaise. And eggs. And eggs, yes, of course. Egg mayonnaise has become my traditional lunch whilst on the road. And one of the very reasons for this is it's a bit practical, but also because it annoys Lee Allen. And I can't believe it's nearly a year back, next month, a year back, when I went to the Gaydon show for British marks, and that's where I found out that it annoys him, and so I've carried on eating. Okay. Now you know
the Project Nigel transit phase recovery truck is sign written to a degree in a kind of vandalised look. Project Nigel on the front and down the sides. That was my idea, hoping that people will see and think, oh, what's going on there? Project Nigel, never heard of it, let's go and have a look. But there's another plus side to this as well. People who do know Project Nigel will recognise this much more. Otherwise, it's just a transit recovery truck. Why would anybody look at that? But now they will do. It would please me immensely to find out that Martine McCutcheon and Amanda Holden are viewers of Project Nigel. Because I'd like both of you to just put a bit of weight back on. Two things have just occurred to me actually. The first one is this is a Rover 45 diesel that's been made to look a bit like an MGZS. So the front end's already a bit low down on the diesel, but has he loaded it as well? Because if he has, I'm going to have nowhere to put my ramps. That could be all. And the other thing is that if this is Birmingham, it's going to be the clean air zone to consider.
What was that? I don't know. Does it matter? No!
So, Rochdale, which to other people is Manchester, to somewhere around Birmingham, which is Birmingham, isn't that bad a drive really. It's not that far, it's about 100 miles, which will go by quite quickly if you're entertaining yourself and eating sandwiches. But of course, when you ever just get a straight run, well, not very often, I must say that, but so far, so good. The air quality does look pretty bad today actually, rather murky. You can't see very far ahead. Come on, let me out. Let me out. Thank you for not letting me out. Maybe it's down to diesel fumes. The visibility is about 20 miles, about 10. Visibility is not very good at all. It just gets me thinking about how can people even afford to drive about anywhere. I know I can't. If I had a petrol station, all the fuel that you sell there, the amount it adds up to, you can afford to run your own car. But as it goes, you take a gamble every time you go somewhere. I drive somewhere like this, and I find myself glancing at my fuel gauge as often as I do my speedometer. Oh, you're still up there, are you? Well, I'm about 42 miles into the journey so far, which is significant, and that means it's egg sandwich time. And I've just remembered, I put tomatoes on half of them, and those should be the ones I have on the return journey, because of course tomatoes taste better at room temperature. But I had just had a thought. I mean, I do like to sort of split these sandwiches up into time to give me something to look forward to. You know, I'm just driving along, it's rather monotonous. I've only got my own silly mind to keep me occupied. But of course, then that's grazing, isn't it? No, there's no fat, there's no fasting, there's no gaps between eating to let your body deal with it. So it's not actually good for you. Yep, I know that. Still going to do it though. Bile green. I wonder if you can use an apostrophe in Morse code. Because after all, when Morse code was being used as the only form of communication over distance, the importance of the message being clearly understood was very important. No room for error, and we all know that grammar and grammar errors costs lives. Here's a really good tip for you. Never practice your Morse code signals with your headlamps in Daisy Nut car park at night time. That's smart, I like that. Cow! close enough, especially if you think that Rochdale is Manchester. I mean, have you heard the way they speak in Manchester? It's nothing like me. That reminds me, actually, I must ask Andrew when I see him if he knows Timothy Spall, Jasper Carrot. What a horrible bit of road this is. Why can't they just fix this? This bit of the road is utterly crap. And at last it's smoothed over. Who's this thing? Who's that? Is that somebody I know? Seeing an R8 Touring and a Rover 100 as well, just like that, what a treat! What a treat! I wonder if they are people I know of. They might be. I hope they are. Anyway, hello. I've already done that. So that these days we've all got internet friends, Facebook friends, that through mutual interests we become friends and get to know, yet never really meet them. And that's the first time I've met Andrew, and I've known him for about 3 years, something like that, I think, maybe 2. But whatever the case, our paths have crossed properly this time, and it's always a pleasure. Well, it's certainly a lovely day on the M6 here. I'm so glad I didn't wear my trousers, or my duffel coat, or my balaclava, or my long johns, or my crash helmet. Could do with a bigger flask. Are you sure? Oh, and it's okay. Cost to dive through all the way to Birmingham and back without a traffic jam. That is very, very impressive. And now I'm back in Milnrow. There seems to be some congestion going on. What could that be?
Right, I am back at work with the car. And before I show you around, I'm probably going to need to make a cup of tea for 2 reasons. One, I'm thirsty, and the other is I might need some